is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Wisconsin.
It was June 2nd, 2015, Busch Stadium in St. Louis when Tyler Cravey made his big league debut, and he was good. 7 innings of 4-hit, 1-run ball. He makes his starting debut this season tonight, and looking for some more of that magic to even this series. The Reds and the Brewers, Game 2 coming up. It is an absolutely perfect night for baseball. Game 2 of this series at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati as the Brewers take on the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds taking the opener last night with some home run power. Aaron Hill did what he could, a couple of hits and an RBI last night. And you see what he has done in the midst of a 6-game hitting streak. As mentioned, the Reds had power. Brandon Phillips with a 2-run shot last night. He's homered in each of the last 2 games. The Reds had 3 long balls last night in winning this series opener. Good evening from Great American Ballpark. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Matt LePay, and Telly Hughes is our reporter here tonight. Well, great opportunity here for Tyler Cravey, and the tough chore is cooling off these Reds bats. But if you're Tyler, this is just a great chance. Take it, grab it, and see what you can do with it.
Yeah, and hopefully his first start this year is as good as his first start last year against the St. Louis Cardinals. He was awesome, but he worked out of the bullpen, out of spring training, 5 appearances. He was pretty good at 318 earned run average. Really didn't get a lot of consistent opportunities, to get into game on a regular basis, but went down to the minor leagues. His last appearance was on April 20th, went down to the minor leagues. 1 spot out of the bullpen. He made his start only 3 2/3 innings, 64 pitches. Craig Counsell was hoping for, maybe 80 pitches and certainly get into maybe the 5th inning. And what's going to happen right now is he's going to be tested big time. This Cincinnati Reds offense has been clicking on all cylinders the last couple of days. 7 home runs in the last 2 games, 3 last night, 4 the night before, the day before against the San Francisco Giants. So very important that Cravey gets off to a good start, gets that confidence going, make sure he keeps that baseball down like he did against the St. Louis Cardinals his first start a year ago.
It wasn't just Reds, though, playing long ball last night. Brewers had a couple as well, including number 2 from this man, Alex Presley, with a 2-run shot in the 8th inning. When we continue, Telly Hughes will tell us more about Presley again in right field tonight. Brewers and Reds, Game 2 coming up on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. The Brew Crew will look to bounce back and even the series in Game 2 of this 4-game set against the Reds in the Queen City. As we welcome you back to Great American Ballpark, I'm Telly Hughes. Right shoulder tightness will keep Domingo Santana out of the lineup for the 3rd time in the last 4 games. But as the game goes, injury presents opportunity, and Alex Presley has made the most of his playing time. Presley has 4 hits over the last 2 games, including his 2nd home run of the season, coming in the series opener against the Reds last night. For Presley, it's all about preparation.
You got to be ready at any time. Anything can happen. Injuries happen every year, so not to say that you anticipate it, but you prepare like you're going to play every day, and these few games have shown that I've been doing that.
Coming up after dropping Game 1, can the Crew come back and even the series in Game 2? Matt LePay and Bill Schroeder will be back after the break with the first pitch and call between the Brewers and Reds next from Cincinnati.
Hey, if you're not on a swing, you're going to be in the ballpark. Great American Ballpark for the Brewers and Reds. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casinos. Spend the night with luxury. Sunshine, 70 degrees. A great night here in Cincinnati as Craig Counsell's team want to try to even this series. The Reds got an early jump last night, 5 of the first 2 in the second, en route to a 9-5 victory. Seeing if the Crew can even things up in this 4-game set tonight. Let's take a look at the Brewers batting order presented by Potawatomi. Jonathan Villar back at the top of the order. Alex Presley is 4 for 8 in his last 2 games. He'll hit second. Ryan Braun third. Chris Carter hitting cleanup, followed by Kirk Neuenhuis and Aaron Hill. Colin Walsh over there third again. Martin Maldonado getting a start tonight. Tyler Cravey rounding out the Brewers batting order. Talked a lot about Tyler Cravey. Well, there's a new face in the Reds rotation. Making his second start is Tim Adelman.
Yeah, made his major league debut last time out against the Pirates in Pittsburgh. 6 innings, got a no decision. He pitched well. 2 earned runs, left with the lead, but victimized by a blown save. Made 3 appearances down in the minor leagues. All starts 2-0 and a .424 earned run average. And let's check out the Reds defense behind him, brought to you by Menards. You got Duvall, Hamilton, and Bruce in the outfield. Suarez, Cozart, Phillips, and Votto. Cozart and Phillips probably maybe the two best in the business up the middle. Tucker Barnhart behind home plate. The Menards Reds defense the same as last night.
And your umpires tonight, that's the crew chief. He'll call balls and strikes. Gary Cedarstrom, Eric Cooper. The over at first, Jim Wolf at second, and Adrian Johnson making the calls over at third. For the second game of this series, the Brewers and Reds right back here tomorrow night, and the series wrap up on Sunday afternoon. So Jonathan VR back at the top of the order. Domingo Santana still working his way back, has some shoulder tightness, so he is out of the lineup, and Alex Presley will hit second. He's in right. And a swing and a miss from VR, and we are underway here in Cincinnati. VR with a hit last night and also walked as he continues through this first month plus of the season the ability to get on base. Leads the team in walks and leads the National League in stolen bases, does VR. He has 8 steals so far. He's behind 0-2 to Tim Adelman.
Yeah, pretty similar styles for these two pitchers here tonight, Adelman and Cravey. Neither one of them throw very hard. Adelman more of a curveball than a slider. Cravey features the slider. Both of them have good changeups. So neither one of them throw very hard. They rely on good location.
And VR strikes out here to begin the game in Cincinnati.
Now chasing out of the strike zone is Jonathan VR. We don't see that too much out of him. A high fastball.
28 years old is Tim Adelman, and he has paid his dues. A couple of years in the independent league. Georgetown University is where he played his college ball, and he was terrific there. He was a draft pick of the Baltimore Orioles in 2010. Now facing Alex Presley. A couple of hits for Presley last night, including his second homer as a Brewer. He had 2 hits on Wednesday afternoon at Miller Park against the Angels. So a pretty good stretch here continuing for Presley back in there in right field tonight.
And taking advantage of the playing time is Alex Presley. He's been pretty good since his recall.
Had a 10-homer season 4 years ago with the Pirates. Was their minor league player of the year in 2010. The last to go in spring training. Making the opportunity count here in the early going as a Brewer. There's a ground ball for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down here in the first.
Yeah, good look at that changeup right there, going away from Alex Presley as it gets to home plate. One of 4 pitchers for the Reds this year that had made their major league debut. So a lot of newcomers to the starting rotation, bullpen. It's kind of the way it's going to be for the Reds this year.
Yeah, they have already rolled 9 starting pitchers out there this season. And 18 pitchers overall have seen time through the first month and change of this regular season. Here's Ryan Braun. He takes a look at a curveball for strike 1. Braun with a hit last night. Hit safely in his last 5 games, a 10 for 21 clip. Brawny with the terrific numbers in his career against the Reds. And there's where you see he's among the leaders in several categories, including batting average.
And he's got the power to go with it. Off to a nice start this year. Got a nice scouting report today from Carlos Sabaro on Adelman. Adelman faced the Biloxi Shuckers a number of times last year down in AA, so he knows him pretty well. I would imagine Yadiel Rivera has a good scouting report on him as well.
A ball, 2 strikes. Adelman against Ryan Braun. .434 on base percentage for Brawny, a slugging percentage of .579. The 5 homers, 22 RBIs for the left fielder. 1-2 pitch. And soft liner that is snagged by Zach COZART, and it's a quick inning here for the Crew. The Reds will take their first shot at Tyler Cravey. Top of the first as they go down in order, and now the Reds will take their first cuts of the night. Brian Price, in his third year, watched his team win for the 12th time last night in the 9-5 win here at Great America Ballpark. Let's check out the Reds batting order presented by Potawatomi. Looks very familiar from last night. Zach COZART, Billy Hamilton, and Joey Votto, 1, 2, 3. Brandon Phillips is homered in each of his last 2 games. Jay Bruce, Eugenio Suarez over at third. Adam Duvall in left. He's homered in 3 straight games. Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. Tim Adelman on the mound. Or on the mound and bottom of the order against Tyler Cravey, who gets his first start of the season now for the Crew.
Well, last appeared in the big leagues this year on April 20th out of the bullpen. 5 appearances, a .318 earned run average. He was very good out of the pen, got sent down, made a start on May 1st. No decision, a 3 2/3 inning, 64 pitches. Craig Counsell said before the game he'd like to see 80 pitches, 5-6 innings. He'd be happy with that.
Yeah, pitch count was in the mid-60s in that start at Colorado Springs. 1-1 the count to the shortstop, Zach COZART. Make it 1-2 as Cravey catches the inside edge. See COZART off to a very good start. We've had to spell him at times. Earlier in the week he was out of the lineup. Little knee soreness, a tendonitis. Of course, he had knee surgery last year as he lines to Chris Carter for out number 1.
Yeah, he's been making some pretty good contact so far this year. Off to a very good start, which is why they've got him in that leadoff spot. And Chris Carter's been holding down first base pretty well so far. A step and a dive and able to grab it. Let's check out the rest of the Brewers defensively. Brought to you by Menards. And we'll check that in a minute. But the only change defensively is Martin Maldonado from last night.
Right. And you're spot on there with Chris Carter. It's easy and it's right to talk about his bat, but man, he is making plays like he just made, digging out low throws, doing what you need your first baseman to do. But I think a lot of folks wondered about that.
Yeah. Going into the season, you bet.
He's really been solid over there, and at times solid is an understatement. He's been better than that.
And he doesn't have to be too good to stay in the lineup the way he can swing the bat.
The Reds found that out firsthand last night. Here's Billy Hamilton. Cravey missing with a curveball. Hamilton last night singled and actually doubled in the first inning. The Reds getting to Chase Anderson for 5 in the first and 2 more in the second. And there's a fly ball down the line and left that'll carry out a play.
Now here we go with the Menards Brewers defense. As I mentioned, the only change from last night, Martin Maldonado behind home plate, making his 6th start. The Brewers are actually 4-1 in games that is Maldonado starts behind home plate, and Aaron Hill back at second base, making his 5th start. Colin Walsh at 3rd.
Here's some people wondering now. Remember, Peralta was scheduled to go in this game, but he is on paternity leave, and Peralta will start on Monday. Maldonado's been catching for Willie much of the time here this season, but Jonathan Lucroy was hit by a pitch last night. I think it would only be natural to wonder if that has something to do with Maldonado starting tonight. The answer is no. Craig Counsell is saying that Luke is fine. Just a chance to give him a day off, and that is strike 3 called, and Gravy gets his first strikeout. 2 up, 2 down here in the 1st.
Yeah, give Lucroy a day off, but you got to keep Maldonado in some type of routine. I mean, 1 every 5 days, and that's normally going to be with Peralta out there. But Gravy so far is showing some pretty good command. Billy Hamilton thought that might have been high off the plate, but yeah, strike 3. So good start for Gravy.
We'll go back to last June, his debut as a Brewer in a starting role, and he was terrific. We all know the overall numbers were nowhere close to what he would want, and moving forward, you hope that he can get that turned around. But June 2nd, 2015, he was terrific in 7 innings of work against the Cardinals. 4 hits, just a 1 run. He was going pitch for pitch with Lance Lynn. Ended up starting 7 times for the Brewers last year. 1-1 the count to Joey Votto. Votto last night did what he does a lot, and that is walk 3 times in last night's game. Has led the National League in walks 4 times over his career.
And numbers down offensively, but on base percentage still very good for Votto.
He's walked 17 times through the first month of this season. A multiple-time All-Star, a 1-time MVP. 2-1 pitch, and the count is even.
Good changeup by Gravy. Votto makes you work. He doesn't swing the bat unless he feels like he has to. Although as the game goes on, he will attack early. He'll ambush an early fastball, but most of the time he is going to do what he does right here. Works the count.
A fair amount of strikeouts, 28 of them so far this season. There's a fly ball hit back into center field. Nieuwenhuis trying to measure it, but he's going to run out of room. Dead center field for Joey Votto.
Yeah, we mentioned that the Reds are starting to get the big bats out. 7 home runs in their previous 2 games, and Votto taking a 2-2 off-speed pitch and knocking it out of here to center field. That's a nice short stroke. I mean, that's almost, I'm going to put this ball in play, just jumps out of here in this bandbox of a ballpark. 1-0 Reds. They put a 5 spot in the first inning last night.
4th of the year for Joey Votto as the Reds again score in the first. And here's Brandon Phillips. He too homered last night, a 2-run shot. Homered in their series finale on Wednesday against the Giants. So now in the 2 games plus change for the Reds, they have homered 8 times. A sharp ground ball to Jonathan Villar. That'll do it in the first inning for Cincinnati, but Joey Votto with a solo homer opens up the scoring here in Cincinnati. Brewers. Big man getting ready to lead things off, which takes us back to last night. Powerball home run leader, home run count number 10 for Chris Carter last night with that bomb to center field against J.J. Hoover. Man's on a power surge here. 5th homer of the week for Chris Carter.
And that's what they do. I mean, they get into these stretches where they just hit him in bunches. And hopefully he's got a few more in him.
Love looking at that batting average as well. A shade below 200 a year ago with the Astros. He fouls away a Tim Adelman curveball. I mentioned Ryan Braun among the leaders. Well, take a look at Chris Carter. You can say the same about him. The extra base hits, the slugging percentage. Check that out.
And that terrific start. Nice easy swing, and been a nice addition so far. Been playing just about every game over there at first base.
Carter a little tapper on a breaking ball. It's going to be a tough play for Suarez, and a tag is applied. And now he dropped the ball, and now Votto is shaken up. The throw pulled him off the bag, and that's a big man he was trying to apply the tag to.
Yeah, jam a wrist. I mean, that's easy to do when you have a throw like that. And Votto immediately saw he was in trouble. The throw takes Votto off the bag and toward Carter. He tried to make the tag. And watch the glove hand. Glove hand's going to get jammed and drops the baseball. And right there, I mean, that's the way you break a wrist right there. You see the grimace on Votto's face. He's going to try and stay in the game. And I would imagine that's going to be an E5.
So Carter aboard. And now Brian Price out to talk with the home plate umpire and the crew chief, Gary Cederstrom. I believe they're ruling that a hit.
Okay, it's a hit, but I think they're going to see if Carter was out of the running lane. They're going to get together and see what they can come up with. Interference is not a reviewable play.
So it requires this, the umpire team meeting, umpire crew meeting, if you will. So at the moment, Chris Carter is at first.
And see Carter out of the running lane. You got to have both feet in that running lane, and it's either you impede the fielder's ability to catch the baseball, which perhaps that might have been the case. They're taking a look at it. They're going to talk about it, and to the letter of the rules, it's got to be both feet in that running lane. And that clearly wasn't the case. Carter was out of that running lane, which is the case most of the time with a right-handed batter, based on the angle that you head down to first base.
As you watch that replay, the crew meeting continues.
Now, did Votto have the ability to catch the baseball, and the tag was what, jarred the ball loose, which was the case, really. So right there, Carter is not impeding Votto's ability to catch the baseball. He just knocks it out of his glove as he goes by.
And this little conversation is going to continue here.
Well, interference is not a reviewable play, so I'm not sure.
Got the headsets on, so that's something to sort out here. Take another look or two here.
This is where Major League Baseball needs to inform the crowd as to what they're looking at on the headsets, and everybody's kind of wondering what they are looking at, and nobody's really sure what's going on down there.
I'm wondering if part of this, Rock, and I'm just looking at Twitter right now. The Reds this is a Reds challenge. Maybe they're trying to determine whether Votto held possession long enough after the collision. That could be part of it. Some Twitter activity from the press box. I'll Tom Hardecourt specifically throwing that out there, so I'll steal his thought.
All right, well,
that maybe that's what this is about.
He's got a better idea than we do. I'm not sure it's safe. I don't know what they're looking at. It's a mystery to everybody.
Yeah. So after all of that,
it would certainly be nice to know what they're looking at. Nobody in the ballpark, nobody up here knows, and it's kind of a flaw in the system.
Took a little while too. So the Reds challenge it. Call on the field confirmed. Carter's safe. So it's an infield hit, infield single for Carter. So a leadoff infield single for Carter, and now Kirk Neuenhuis steps in. Swing and a miss against Tim Adelman.
I'll tell you, Carter will take the hit. It looked like an error to me on somebody.
Yeah, you would have thought that the throw from Suarez, if any, good chance that could have been an E5, but they ruled it a hit, and Chris will take it. Doesn't have too many singles. He's a doubles and homers guy so far this year. Neuenhuis quickly down 2 strikes. Neuenhuis with a double last night and some impressive work out in center field. Running down some fly balls in the game. Kind of gets lost in the 9-5 setback the Brewers endured against the Reds, falling way behind early, trying to chip their way back into the game, but it's too steep of a hill. A ball, 2 strikes to Neuenhuis. Back out there in center field tonight for the Crew. A homer, 9 RBIs so far for Kirk. A little foul tip. He had a little bit of everything last night, did Neuenhuis. Back to the first inning.
Kind of misjudged that fly ball, and that was in the first inning, and did not help in keeping the Reds off the board. And a couple of nice catches, one in the gap and one going over his head last night.
Covering a lot of territory at Great American Ballpark last evening. A curveball is fouled away. A good solid average for Neuenhuis, a .275, on base percentage of .339. Adelman, as we mentioned, went to Georgetown University, played his college ball there, was the all-time school leader in strikeouts. About 3-1 the ratio strikeouts to walks. Neuenhuis lifts it high and deep down the right field line, and that will curl out of play. By the way, it's Star Wars night, in case you were wondering about the costumes. There he is.
Yeah, they were parading around the warning track during batting practice. Somewhat intimidating.
They were.
Ed Cedar was having fun with them, though.
He was, as only he can. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Neuenhuis. Mentioned those strikeouts that Adelman had at Georgetown, 224 as a matter of fact. And that helped him get drafted in the later rounds. He was not an early pick. He was a 24th round pick by the Orioles in 2010. They released him a couple of years later. Signed a free agent contract with the Reds back in 2013, and just 5 days ago got to the big leagues. It was a long road back. For a long road to the show for Adelman as he walks Kirk Neuenhuis, and the first two Brewers here have reached in the second.
Yeah, big guy, doesn't throw very hard. There you see his numbers, some of his statistics. 2010, a low round draft choice by the Orioles. Actually went to Georgetown University, so he's a pretty bright kid.
Yeah, he is.
Set a strikeout record at that college, and here he is in the big leagues.
Yeah, that's what's impressive. You get through a school like that and you battle the way he has, going through independent ball and all of that. As Aaron Hill steps in for Milwaukee. Hill's riding a nice hitting streak right now, 6 straight, 8 for 20 in that stretch. Drove in the first run of the night for the Crew in the 5th inning with a single that brought Jonathan Lucroy around. RBI chance now for Aaron Hill. Back in there at second tonight for Milwaukee.
They've been swinging the bat much better, making good solid contact. Hits are starting to fall.
Always talked about just staying with the plan when that average was south of 200. The veteran, not one to panic, just went about the process, and slowly but surely that average is starting to go the better direction. There's a tapper back to Adelman, and the play will be at first. We're out number 1, but the Brewers now with runners at second and third.
Yep, the swinging bunt able to advance the base runner, so a productive out. That's a pretty good off-speed pitch from Adelman. Curved ball right off the end of the bat. Good jump by both base runners to get into scoring position. Adelman's one of those guys you have to face a couple of times. Again, he pitched pretty well against the Pirates. 6 innings, 2 runs. He's got that little herky-jerky delivery, kind of a hesitation that kind of will mess you up a little bit until you see him a few times. That little knee kick, that kick, he kind of touches his feet together. He picks his front foot up, kind of knocks his foot into the other one, and then comes to home plate.
Facing Colin Walsh right now. RBI ground out last night. Was 0 for 4. Yeah, that's what's interesting. You mentioned Carlos Subero, the first base coach, would provide a pretty good scouting report, but you still have to see him, and that's what you're talking about with that little kick there.
Very unusual, and sometimes you don't expect that. You see him once or twice, and then you're used to it. You get a better look at his pitches.
1-1 pitch coming to Walsh. A piece of it. The ball, 2 strikes. Colin back in there at third. Rule 5 pick, continuing to get a pretty good opportunity to see what he can do. Craig Counsell putting him in the lineup with some degree of regularity here. And that's strike 3. 2 men out here in the second.
Hey, it's a double kids promotion in Miller Park on Sunday, May 15th. The Brewers host the Padres. All kids 14 and under get a Jonathan Lucroy replica jersey courtesy of Quick Trip. Plus, they also eat free compliments of Pick and Save, Blue Bunny, and Heinz.
Doesn't get any better than that. Get a replica jersey and get to eat for free.
I was going to say that was a big out for Adelman now with first base open. You walk Maldonado, and Adelman's opportunity to get out of this inning just increased dramatically.
So the Reds doing the textbook move here as they'll take their chances with Tyler Cravey. He was at all of 10 plate appearances in his big league career, as the intentional walk is complete with Martin Maldonado. So here comes Tyler Cravey. This will be his first at bat as a Brewer this season. His work has been all in relief until tonight. 5 appearances out of the bullpen. Last year he was 0 for 8. A couple of sacrifice bunts. Bases loaded here with 2 outs, so he'll swing away, and let's see what happens. And Adelman feeds him a curveball. A busy inning here for Adelman, if nothing else. Hopefully the Brewers can punch a run or 2 across, but 25 pitches in this first inning for the Reds right-hander. 2 curveballs has him out in front.
And not messing around, is he? Giving him some pretty good hooks.
Oh, 2 pitch on the way. He bounced it.
A nice block. That was in front of home plate. Good job by Barnhart. There's always been a very good defensive catcher. You talk about being ready to block a pitch. Look at the way he spreads those legs out and able to smother that baseball.
He's going to be their primary catcher for the foreseeable future. 1-2 pitch as Cravey stays alive. News coming out earlier today that Devin Mesoraco, who's been battling shoulder trouble, is going to require surgery next week. That could possibly knock him out for the season. Torn labrum.
Nothing but bad luck for Mesoraco the last couple of years.
Yeah, hip injury cut it way short a year ago his season. As you mentioned, Barnhart, he's pretty good in his own right. Cravey working Adelman here a little bit. 2-2 the count. There's a ground ball to COZART. And the inning is over. Well, got a piece, but the Reds able to get out of the inning, and we're through 1 1/2. 1-0 Cincinnati.
Reds lead the Brewers 1-0. Tyler Cravey getting set for his second inning of work. Cravey will make he's making his first start in his second call-up this season. This recall comes after 2 appearances for Colorado Springs, which included a start, and Brewers pitching coach Derek Johnson lays out the expectations for Cravey's spot start.
We feel like he matches up with this kind of team. He can kind of throw all pitches and really any count, and against them I think that could work, and we're just looking for as much length as we can get out of him. I mean, it doesn't have to be all 9 or anything like that, but at least give us some length to where we can get to our bullpen in a decent way.
And that would certainly be best case scenario, especially since Chase Anderson didn't go that long last night. If I'm not mistaken, he only pitched 5 innings. So we'll see if Tyler Cravey can extend his outing here today and hopefully get into the later innings to hand it over to the bullpen, man.
Yeah, they're talking about 80 pitches. He went 64 pitches his first start down at AAA.
Facing Jay Bruce, who has been a Brewer killer, and that it continued last night with a 3-run homer in the first. And to back Telly there, he's exactly right. With Anderson last night, he worked but 5 innings, and we'll see what Cravey has to offer here tonight. This is what Bruce did in the first inning, part of a 5-run inning for Cincinnati.
Yeah, hanging curveball. Look how far it goes. Jay Bruce always seems to heat up when the Brew Crew's in town.
34 career homers now against Milwaukee as Bruce into the shift, and a dive made there by Walsh, but no play.
That might have been an easier play for Aaron Hill. I think that's what Aaron's telling him right now. Let that one go, kid. I had it. Well, that's the thing about these shifts. I mean, you know, guys are in positions they're not normally really used to. I guess at this point you're a little bit more used to it than you were in the beginning of the season, but had Walsh let that one go, I think that would have been a relatively easy play for Aaron Hill.
As it is an infield single for Jay Bruce. Hit number 2 for Cincinnati. Joey Votto with a solo homer to open up the scoring tonight. They came with 2 outs in the first inning. Here's Eugenio Suarez. Had a double in 4 trips last night.
And check out Aaron Hill. I think Aaron Hill is going to be able to make this play. Maybe not. I mean, he might have been able to get there. He might not have been able to get the out.
The give and take with the shifting. And the numbers tell you that defenses take away a lot more than what they give up. But every now and then you'll have a play like that, or someone will lay down a bunt or just punch it away from the shift. But until or unless that happens a lot more consistently, the shifting will continue.
Well, and you know, you set your shift based on where a hitter hits the ball solidly. You really can't account for, you know, a squibber off the end of the bat or a guy dropping down a bunt. Even there, you know, Jay Bruce hits that ball to second base, and even with 3 guys out there, he's able to find the hole.
One of those big baseball topics that's going to continue. When you come to the ballpark, it's a fun thing to do. Just watch the alignment within the at-bat to at-bat. Suarez, a swing and a miss, and there is out number 1 here in the second.
Good fastball that time by Tyler Cravey. Look at the head for Suarez, pulling it, then looked like he wanted to hit that one in the left field, but a good pitch on the outside corner.
Couple of strikeouts early on for Cravey, and now Adam Duvall. Talk about hot hitters in terms of the power numbers. You see the 5 homers, 3 have come in the last 3 games. Last night he went deep after the Brewers were trying to crawl back into it. It was a 7-3 game going into the bottom of the 8th inning, but 2-run bomb from Duvall. It was a 6-run game.
That was against Goforth in the 8th into center field.
And there's a liner in the left center field. That's a base hit. Neuenhuis will have to chase it down off the wall. Bruce rounding third. He will score, and the Reds now lead it 2-0. RBI double for Adam Duvall.
Yeah, Cravey got that one up down the heart of the plate, and you know, the way Duvall's swinging the bat, he's not going to miss that one. A slider, a mistake. See Maldonado setting up inside. He left it down the middle, and Duvall hammers it out there into the gap, and Jay Bruce able to score.
So the Reds with runs in each of the first 2 innings, and now Tucker Barnhart to the plate. He had a hit in 4 trips last night, drove in a run. Duvall with his 10th RBI. The Reds team where the bats are coming alive here in the last few days. Their series finale against the Giants. Here against the Brewers as that gets just under the glove of Aaron Hill. Here comes Duvall. The throw from Presley, and Duvall is out at home. Alex Presley erasing Duvall, trying to score on the Barnhart single.
That was a heck of a play by Alex Presley and a good throw, very accurate, a couple of hops, but Maldonado doing a good job not blocking off home plate before he had the baseball. That was a tremendous job by both Presley and Maldonado. This ball is hit like a bullet, and Aaron Hill not able to get there. Now watch Maldonado. Check it out. Not blocking off home plate. Watch the foot. He's not blocking home plate, and really no opportunity for Duvall to slide. That's a beautiful play by Maldonado. And that's something you have to think about as that play is developing. You can't block off home plate. We saw that happen to Lucroy back on the homestand. Taking nothing away from the throw was a good one. So Maldonado able to get the baseball. Now you can block the plate, and that's an easy out at home.
Tim Adelman, the pitcher, is down 2 strikes.
But a good quick throw, accurate throw from Alex Presley.
It's got to be so hard to change the habits, Rock. You're a catcher. You know what it's like, what you grew up doing, right? You block the plate.
Well, it's been 3 years now. These guys have to learn.
Absolutely.
And, you don't see it called very often. And speaking of Star Wars, how about Maldonado's catching gear?
He is in the spirit of it.
I mean, he is. I mean, looks like it, right? One of the soldiers.
He is into the theme of the night here in Cincinnati. 0-2 to Adelman. And that'll wrap up the second inning for Cincinnati. Reds get another run, but Alex Presley and Maldonado prevent a third from scoring.
On Saturday, June 11th, as the Brewers host the Mets for Star Wars Day, and fans who purchase a special Star Wars Day ticket package will get a Stormin' Gorman Stormtrooper bobblehead. Visit Brewers.com/theme nights. Look at Spike. He looks like Maldonado's catching gear.
It does. I think he was kind of fired up about it too. He was kind of showing it off the other night at the ballpark.
He's very proud of his catching gear. You know, I was talking to Jason Schauger, the Brewers equipment guy, and said that Maldy last year had 8 different sets of catching gear.
8?
Different color themes and things like that. This is another one. I don't remember this all gray.
Maldonado and Alex Presley teaming up to take care of Adam Duvall, trying to score on a Tucker Barnhart single.
Remember, catching gear was just black and orange.
Very simple, right?
Back in the old days, there's no color schemes. There's no opportunity to personalize stuff.
Well, now you have all kinds of different gear. Guys coloring their nails to let the pitcher recognize the signs a lot better now. You have all kinds of things going on. Top of the order here for the Crew, VR, Presley, and Braun. You know, the Brewers are very fortunate. I mentioned it a time or two already. They have two very good defensive catchers as VR bounces out to the first baseman Joey Votto, but that combo of Luke Roy, and if he needs a break, you can put Maldonado back there, and you know that things are going to be taken care of behind the plate.
No matter which one of them's back there, the defense is pretty secure back there behind home plate.
There's Alex Presley as he continues to impress. He made a throw that allowed Maldonado to apply the tag to get Duvall at the plate. Called up on April 21st from Colorado Springs. And hitting well above 300 right now. 308 at the moment.
And surprising power for a guy that doesn't look like he's going to hit many home runs. I mean, you said he had 10 one year with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, not a whole lot of doubt last night. Homer into the seats in right field.
And one of the few mistakes Alfredo Simon made last night. He looked good. His best start of the year.
Yeah, by far. He had not gone deeper than 5 innings in any of his previous starts this year, but looked more like the Alfredo Simon who was an all-star a couple of years ago for the Reds before being sent to the Tigers last season. 2 balls, 1 strike. It's Tim Adelman. His 3rd inning of work. Brewers had a threat in the 2nd inning. Runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, but a big strikeout that Adelman was able to get. Colin Walsh, and then they walked Maldonado intentionally and let Tyler Cravey to ground out. So the Brewers left him loaded, as it turned out, in inning number 2. And Presley draws a walk. 1 out, 1 on here in the 3rd.
Yeah, 3rd walk allowed by Adelman, one of them intentional. He's only allowed the 1 hit. And a questionable hit at that.
Yeah, the Chris Carter infield single that could have been ruled an error, but was not. A throw pulling Votto off the bag. Here's Ryan Braun. Five homers for him, but the most recent one was April 24th against the Phillies off Jared Eichhoff. He's homered 30 times in his career against the Reds. So he's due. See what he can do here.
Hang one of those curveballs.
Have a souvenir for somebody out in the outfield seats, and there's a curveball that Braun's out in front of.
Didn't hang that one. That was a nice one.
Mentioned those 30 home runs. That's a pretty good list that he is on top of. McCutchen and Prince Fielder. Go back the last nearly a decade now, and what Brawny has done against the Reds. 18 of those 30 coming in this ballpark. Curveball misses. 1-1 the count.
Yeah, the weather starts to heat up around here. I mean, balls fly out of here easily. I mean, guys, you know, hit fly balls, they slam their bat down. Sometimes they end up getting out of the ballpark here, particularly the left field during the day.
1-1 pitch. Nice comfortable night tonight. It was a little cooler last night, but 70 degrees at first pitch. Calm wind. Perfect night to be at the ballpark. Two and 1 to Braun. And that's a base hit to left. Turns on Adelman, and the Brewers now with runners at first and second with 1 out.
Yeah, left that one down in the strike zone. I think it was a fastball, and Ryan Braun able to get good wood on it. And that changeup, actually, you can see the movement on it. You know, the grip was a changeup, and Ryan Waits back and hits it hard into left field. Well, the Brewers mounting a rally once again, this time with the middle of the order coming up.
Here's Chris Carter. He's homered 5 times this week and has 10 on the year. And a breaking ball misses. The Brewers threatening against ADLEMAN for the 2nd straight inning. That infield single for Carter in the 2nd. Unusual. He has 27 hits, 10 homers, 10 doubles, now 7 singles.
Yeah, good low ball hitter. Down and in. Look at down and in. .667 batting average.
Break even pitch. Fastball missing. ADLEMAN, born in Staten Island, New York. Goes to high school in Raleigh, North Carolina before attending Georgetown. Brewers have a threat going. Presley at 2nd, Braun the runner at 1st. And the count is even. That home run for Carter last night is his 100th going back to 2013. Been in that group, that top 8 or 9 home run hitters over that span. Number 100 came last night. And this is popped up. Votto in foul territory. He'll have a play. 2 men out here in the 3rd.
Yeah, we're looking through the stat pages today and noticing Chris Carter has 10 home runs. The Atlanta Braves as a team have 6 home runs.
That's one of those when you look at it, you're going, is that right?
Double
is that
take,
a typo?
Right.
Yeah.
6.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
The next lowest is 20, and that's the Dodgers. But yeah, Carter has out-homered the Braves by 4. Here's Kirk Neuenhuis. Walked in the 2nd inning. Looking for at least his 10th RBI. Let's see if he can pick up Presley. Talking about Kirk Neuenhuis here. 2 on, 2 out in the 3rd. Behind on a fastball.
That high fastball that's been giving the Brewers some problems, and again, he only throws what, 91 miles an hour. It's an unusual delivery that I think is getting the Brewers confused, not picking up the baseball.
1-1 pitch. Brewers left him loaded in the 2nd. 2 on here in the 3rd. Trying to get to Tim ADLEMAN for the first time tonight. Neuenhuis strikes out swinging. And the Brewers lead 2 more. We are through 2 1/2. It is 2-0 Cincinnati. the Brewers now as we move to the bottom half of the third inning here in Cincinnati. Time now for our carsoup.com trivia question. Who are the 4 players in the history of this great city to steal at least 50 or more stolen bases in a single season for the Reds? Did you know that in addition to what you're reading right there, that Cincinnati is known as Porkopolis? So just thought I'd pass that along for you.
You're a pro, man. That's good. That's good work. I concede. I thought for sure you'd say Queen City.
Where do I want lunch?
We have a bet. We have a bet going, just to let you know, that he couldn't get through the 4-game series without saying Queen City.
I'm trying to curb the cliches. I have 1,000 of them.
And I had you set up with that trivia question.
You did. But you know,
all right,
I'm just so razor sharp.
Yeah, I owe you lunch.
Zach Cozart.
You like your chili 3-way, 4-way? What's
there we go. Yep. Porkopolis sausage.
Yeah.
Established in 1965.
Man, the best.
We're a week late. They had the Flying Pig Marathon here, I believe, last weekend. It was a big, big deal in this town. So there's your Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce update.
It's a Chamber of Commerce night, isn't it?
It is.
And they have fireworks tonight.
Yes, they do. Tyler Cravey looking for a clean inning here. But Cozart to line out to Carter, the bottom of the first. Reds have touched up Tyler. A home run from Votto in the first. A run scoring double from Adam Duvall in the second. Reds with 4 hits so far. 3-2 pitch to Cozart. I mentioned last night Cozart's season cut short June 10th last year when he tore up his knee. Running the bases. He hit the bag funny at first. Season-ending knee surgery. Was off to a pretty good start, but it was a season that only lasted 53 games for him. Again, the 3-2. Have to do it again. One game from earlier this afternoon in the big leagues, the Cubs National Series, getting a lot of attention. The Cubs have won the first 2 games, including this afternoon, 8-6 over the Nationals. John Lackey getting his 4th win.
Kyle Hendricks, winner yesterday in a 5-2 win.
Cubs continue to roll. And Cozart turns on one down the line and left, and that is a fair ball, and that will be a double. Cozart starts the third with a double down the line.
Yeah, didn't hit it all that well. It sounded like he got it down on the handle, but able to get it down that left field line on a fastball. He did the best he could to get the hands in, got enough of it, and able to keep it fair down the line. Good piece of hitting by Cozart, who's hit the baseball hard both times up, just inside that left field line.
So now Cozart in double digits with doubles so far this year. Here's Billy Hamilton, took a called third strike in the first and takes a curveball away here. Hamilton back in the lineup for the 2nd straight night. Out of the lineup earlier in the week, aggravating a thumb injury. And 1 hit last night. That was a double, his 7th of the year. So anytime he gets on, he is a big time threat to steal. He has 5 stolen bases so far this year and has yet to be caught. There's a ground ball to Aaron Hill. Runner will advance. There's out number 1. And Cozart moves to third. Hey, Brewer fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app, take Fox Sports Wisconsin and Brewers baseball with you wherever you go. One out. COZART the runner at third for Joey Votto. 4th homer of the year, and it went out to dead center field with 2 outs in the first inning off Cravey.
And 2 strikes. Breaking pitch that stayed up. That 2-2 count. Cravey tried to get a breaking ball down, but left it up, and that's almost like a defensive 2-strike swing for Votto, but really stays back nicely and drives it out of here.
2 balls, no strikes now to Votto. Question around here is, will he get those power numbers back? A terrific year with the average last year at .314, was 3rd in the MVP voting. Scoots out of the way of that fastball.
That wouldn't be a worst thing in the world to walk in here to maybe set up a double play with Brandon Phillips. Try to come inside and don't miss out over the plate. That's okay. Knock him off the plate a little bit.
We'll go ahead and walk Votto, a 4-pitch walk, so the Reds have him at the corners with 1 out. Now we'll see if Cravey can get the ground ball. Phillips has hit into a couple of them so far this season, but first a visit from pitching coach Derek Johnson. Important time here in this quick trip to the mound. 2-0 game already, still early, but trying to hold this Reds team down here. This is a team that is starting to heat up. Unfortunately, at the Brewers' expense last night after they finished off the Giants, talking about the Reds on Wednesday afternoon, and then put 9 on the board last night against the Brewers.
Yeah, 8 home runs in the last 2+. And you would expect that. You know, the Reds playing in this ballpark. Home run numbers starting to creep up for them.
You see Cravey's pitch count approaching 50 here in the 3rd inning, and thinking 80 or so might be about right for Cravey tonight. Here's Brandon Phillips. Ground ball to short. That ended the first inning. See if Cravey could get a ground ball to short right here, get a little 6-4-3 going. And there's a strike to Phillips.
Going to have to get that breaking pitch down if he wants to get the ground ball. That one stayed up again. And a 2-seam fastball, pretty much, you know, straight away. A little bit of room in the hole between first and second.
Phillips good with runners in scoring position, 6 for 14 going into this game. Driven in 7. Down 2 strikes and nothing right now. Cravey trying to turn back this Cincinnati threat here in the 3rd. Here comes the 0-2. Fastball that Maldonado digs out of there.
Tell him to slow it down a little bit. Don't speed it up. Talking about his delivery.
Tyler Cravey starting in place of Willie Peralta. Peralta will go on Monday in Miami. And Phillips a drive deep to left, and he has homered for the 3rd straight game.
Yeah, fastball really turned on it. I don't even think it was a strike. I mean, it was close to the corner, maybe in off the plate. Apparently Phillips looking for that one. And knocks it out of here right down the line. Check this pitch out. Yeah, that wasn't even a strike. Talking about popping the hips open on the pitch about 3-4 inches inside, and not only does he barrel it up, but he keeps it fair.
Brandon Phillips in these last few games is showing some of the power that he had 8-9 years ago. Swings on a 1-2 pitch.
I guess the only thing that you would have preferred if he's going to come inside like that, make it up a little bit, but hey, that wasn't even a strike. And you just tip your hat to a pretty good hitter for hitting a pitch that's not even on the plate.
5-0 game now here at Great America Ballpark. 1-1 the count to Jay Bruce. Tough go here so far for Cravey tonight. As Rock just said, you give Phillips credit for the 3-run homer. Here's the 1-2.
And again, down and in, a lot easier to get to than up and in. That's the only, I guess, if you want to nitpick on the pitch, you get it up there. I doubt he hits it out. But not a bad pitch in general. It's not a pitch you're going to see hit out of the ballpark very often.
It's when you know as a staff that things just aren't going your way. A pitch that isn't really a bad pitch gets hit out of the ballpark. There's Bruce with a ground ball to Chris Carter over at first, and there are 2 men out.
Hey, the Brewers and the Cubs collide in a 3-game series at Miller Park Tuesday, May 17th through Thursday, the 19th, as the division rivals meet in Milwaukee for the first time this year. Call 414-902-4000 or go to Brewers.com for tickets.
And we were just talking about the Cubs. They're now 22-6. It's the best start in the big leagues through 28 games in 13 years. The Yankees had the same kind of start back in 03. They're rolling. There's Eugenio Suarez. Struck out the last inning. After this weekend, the Brewers have 3 in Miami. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then the Padres come to town. 4-game series starting next Thursday at Miller Park. 2 balls, 1 strike to the Reds' third baseman. Tyler Cravey has given up runs in each of the first 3. 1 of the first, 1 of the second, and now a 3-run third here for Cincinnati. Two 1. Missed away.
Yeah, the way Suarez is swinging the bat, pulling his head, I wouldn't really mess around inside on this guy. Keep it away from him. Like there.
There was something off, and now a full count. First start of the season at the big league level for Cravey, and 1 start 5 days ago for Colorado Springs. And Suarez is on with a walk. Second walk of the inning given up by Tyler Cravey. 5 appearances out of the bullpen. Sent down to Colorado Springs. Had a turn out of the pen, and then last Sunday started, went 3 2/3 at Iowa. You see a pitch count mounting. A busy 3rd inning for Cravey.
And who's already on a pretty strict pitch count.
Adam Duvall, RBI double. His last at bat 1 inning ago. Cravey stepping off. Suarez has stolen 4 bases in as many chances so far this season. And Duvall will lift 1 foul. He's homered in each of his last 3. Now Brandon Phillips has done the same thing with the second baseman's homer in this 3rd inning. Duvall with a 2-run shot in the bottom of the 8th last night. Cravey out in front, 2 strikes and nothing. Duvall coming over last July, right before the trade deadline. Trade with the Giants. Reds sent Mike Leake to San Francisco. The Reds were doing a lot of wheeling and dealing at the deadline. Here comes the 0-2. And the inning is over. Another good inning for Cincinnati as the Reds scored 3 times. And it's 5-0 Reds.
April, he posted a 1-0 record through 4 starts with a 2.63 ERA. He has 37 strikeouts, which leads the Midwest League, and he's averaging a shade under 8 base runners per 9 innings. He was a 27th round draft choice in 2015, and he's off to a great start to his professional career, Matt.
All right, Telly, thank you very much. Continue to keep tabs on that Brewers farm system. Keon Broxton's on a pretty good roll here of late for Colorado Springs. Jacob Nottingham, very intriguing catcher, part of that Chris Davis trade.
Yep, Josh Hader's throwing the baseball well. And yeah, we were talking to David Stearns on the last homestand about some of the young prospects, and Keon Broxton, as you mentioned, has been really turned things around nicely at the plate. Got off to a slow start down in the minor leagues, but consistent playing time. He's starting to swing it. A couple of homers.
Fly ball off the bat of Aaron Hill for out number 1. Yeah, to your point with what Broxton is doing, it's been very encouraging. You send him back down to get some regular playing time, regular at bats. At some point back up to play for Craig Counsell. Nottingham, it's a 7-game hitting streak going. Really well-built catcher.
Yeah, Jonathan Lucroy was just had glowing reports on Nottingham. I was talking to Jonathan about Nottingham down in spring training. Said the kid can hit, and he's smart. He wants to learn, and was asking a lot of questions of Lucroy, and he's got a good future. Got him in that Chris Davis deal.
Yep. With the Biloxi Shuckers right now as you look at Lucroy. Not in the lineup tonight, just trying to get him a little bit of rest and get some playing time from Maldonado as Colin Walsh with a single to right. Talked a lot about that on-base percentage because of the walks he can draw. Let's get that batting average up, and that's a good start there for Walsh.
Yeah, left that one right down the middle of the plate, and Colin able to hit it hard into right. Yeah, good for him. He needs to start getting some base hits. Yeah, the walks are one thing, and the on-base percentage is good, but you got to start getting some hits, get that batting average up.
It's hit number 3 for the Brewers tonight. Here's Martin Maldonado. He's intentionally walked in the 2nd inning. It's textbook baseball by the Reds. There were 2 outs, runners at second and third. They walked Maldonado to get to the pitcher and retired Tyler Cravey. See Martinez average there, but he did get his first hit of the year, drove in his first 2 runs of the year Sunday against the Marlins, and he just got clipped by a pitch right there. So runners at first and second with 1 out here in the 4th. So both catchers now have been plunked in the last 2 nights.
Yeah, see how far off the plate Maldonado is, but taking that one right off the pad, right off the elbow. They figure Cravey's going to be up there to bunt him over.
The Brewers have stranded 5 here through the first 3 innings. Cravey a couple of sacrifice bunts last season. His time up with the Brewers. Tyler appeared in 14 games with Milwaukee last year, 7 of them as a starter. Pops up the bunt attempt to even the count.
Well, he's got the bat out in front there, but watch the way he pulls it back just a little bit. Barrel drops, and he just got to stand there nice and quiet. He was jumping out at the baseball just a little bit.
Trying to move the runners over and set up that top of the Milwaukee batting order. And he lays it down. And Votto bobbles, and the play is at first as Phillips over there covering. A little more of an adventure than what he thought it would be, but
yeah. And not sure why you even mess around going to third base with a 5-run lead. Just get the shore out, makes it 2 outs, and just go get the hitter. And Votto able to, recover and get the out at first base. Good bunt that time by Cravey. Might have had a play, but why risk it with a 5-0 lead?
Runners at second and third with 2 men out for Jonathan Villar. Villar struck out in the first, grounded to Votto in the third. And he's behind 0-2 to Adelman. The Brewers are getting their chances to get to the rookie pitcher, but have yet to cash in. Left them loaded in the second, 2 on in the third. Right now, runners at second and third with 2 outs here in the 4th.
And once again, that high fastball from Adelman at only 90-91 miles an hour is getting by these Brewers hitters.
3rd time through now. Villar with a chance to add to that RBI total. They will not be able to do it as he goes down swinging. Second time tonight he has struck out. We are through 3 1/2. It is 5-0 Cincinnati. Wednesday on an all-new The Ultimate Fighter. After another Team Claudia win, Team Joanna lashes out at her fighters. Will Team Claudia take out one of the competition's strongest fighters? It's all Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central, only on FS1. Missed chances here for the Brewers so far, and the Reds have been able to take advantage of their opportunities using more home run power en route to a 5-0 lead. As the Reds hit here in the bottom of the fourth, and Tucker Barnhart will be leading things off. He singled to right in the second inning. Mentioned his work behind the plate. He was a minor league Gold Glover a few years back, was Tucker Barnhart.
And Barnhart, a switch hitter, hitting near 300. Off to a good start. As you mentioned, Devin Mesoraco for the second straight year hurt, and he's facing surgery. And Barnhart, the beneficiary of some playing time. Been one thing after another for Mesoraco.
Yep. Bullpen activity. Carlos Torres getting loose now for Milwaukee. You know what, you're right though about Mesoraco, all-star a couple of years ago, and looked to be one of the bright talents in the game behind the plate in a division that has an awful lot of good catchers. There's a liner into center field, and Neuenhuis on the run. One away.
Had him played perfectly and had him shaded over toward left center. Able to run it down. He was busy last night.
Yeah, he put in a little mileage last night out there in center. Put out here to begin the bottom of the fourth.
See him shaded just to the third base side of the bag, and able to take a nice route as that ball was slicing away from him.
Here's the pitcher, Tim Adelman, former Georgetown Hoya. Able to work his way out of trouble each of the last 3 innings.
Yeah, 6'5", 200 pounds, and if he was playing basketball, 6'5", what's that, a point guard these days?
Shooting guard, probably a shooting guard. Although, you know, the Bucks, you can have Giannis, he can handle the point guard duties. Someone who is considerably taller than 6'5".
Right.
Telly could fill you in on all that.
That's right up his alley, right?
That's right. Yeah, but even in college, you can maybe get away with being a 2-3 guard forward. But pro level, NBA level, shooting guard. Better be able to hit the 3.
I appreciate all that information. That was a lot more than I was expecting.
It was a fair amount of basketball talk here in the fourth inning of a baseball game.
No, but I mean, you know, Georgetown.
Yeah.
I mean, you think what, basketball, right?
Yeah, you do. You do. A little bit of tradition. Adelman with a ground ball to VR, and can he make the play in time? And Carter with the dig. Wow, there's Chris Carter again as VR didn't panic, knowing the pitcher was up there, had a little bit of time, but Carter with a nice pick.
Yeah, not often you're going to be able to, you know, boot a ball like this and then still get the out, but the pitcher running down the line. And check out Carter. I mean, doing a good job. That was an easy pick for him, that short hop. And a good center of gravity for VR, and he's able to get the out. Piece of cake.
Just getting work done, Chris Carter. There's COZART. Line to Carter in the first and doubled to left in the third. Reds with 6 hits to go with those 5 runs, including 2 homers tonight. That's 9 now in the last 2 games plus.
Really no reason to think that the Reds are not always going to be able to have a good offense. Score some runs, hit some home runs in this ballpark. MVP candidates.
Yeah, that's what makes them dangerous for a team that has such low expectations, primarily because of all the new pitchers that are rolling into the rotation, and then all the bullpen troubles that they've dealt with this year. They're those guys who know how to swing the bat, and COZART will send one to center, but room for Neuenhuis. And a 1-2-3 inning for Tyler Cravey. We are through 4 here in Cincinnati. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. 1-800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business. Play on here in Cincinnati. Game 2 of 4 in this series, and the Brewers, unfortunately, in catch-up mode, much like last night, 5-0 as we move to the top half of the 5th. 2, 3, and 4 hitters now for Milwaukee in this 5th inning. Nice, clear, calm nights in Porkopolis.
All right, you know what? The bet's off. You can say
I can say it now?
Yeah, you can say it now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Just get it out of the way.
Here in the Queen City.
There you go.
Yeah.
You feel better now? I know I do.
Well, I got the. Well, that's all that matters.
I was inhibiting you there.
I got my lunch.
I apologize. Yep.
Free lunch. It's free. All of us in this business, we're all over that. So, right there.
Yep. Go ahead, say it.
Queen City sausage. There you go. Here's Alex Presley drilling one into the air, right field. Jay Bruce going back, and it is gone. Alex Presley does it again. Second home run in as many nights.
Well, it's going to be hard for Craig Counsell to keep him out of the lineup the way he's been swinging the bat. Hitting over 300, showing some power. Doing a nice job in that number 2 spot. And the Brewers able to get on the board here in the 5th. Check it out. I mean, very consistent in his approach and his swing. Keeps that bat in the hitting zone a long time. He lets go with that top hand after contact and able to ride that one out of here. That's one of those great American ballpark homers right there.
It's the Brewers on the board here in the 5th. His 3rd homer since being called up. Alex Presley.
See what happens? You start saying Queen City.
Yeah. Let's say here's Ryan Braun here in the Queen City with a run across. I'm going to wear that out. It will stop.
It's amazing how we amuse ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We crack ourselves up. We're here all weekend. Tip generously. Well, Ryan has liked visiting here. They mentioned all the home runs against the Reds, 18 in this ballpark, and that's more than he's hit than any other venue not named Miller Park. See if now in this third time around the Brewers can get to Tim Adelman. Alex Presley just did. BRAUN with a hitter's count now.
Well, it's not like he's been mowing the Brewers down. I mean, 3 up, 3 down innings. He's had one the first, but the Brewers have had men all over the bases. A hit here and a hit there, and the Brewers have been knocking at the door here. And it's not been a smooth game for Tim Adelman. He's been able to keep the offense down for the most part from Milwaukee.
On now with a 6-game hitting streak after that 3rd inning knock to left field. 3-2 pitch coming. The Brewers getting on the board here finally in the 5th. Adelman, his 2nd start in the big leagues. First coming last Sunday against the Pirates. The 3-2 pitch. And he'll extend the at-bat. Pitch coming up.
Yeah, just working them all over the place, in and out, up and down, trying to keep them off balance.
And a little chopper that Barnhart will take care of. 1 out.
Got him to swing at a pitch out of the zone, eat him up.
Well, 1 out here in the 5th inning. Let's take a look at the Powerball Brewers home run leaderboard. Chris Carter doing some good work over at first tonight. Been doing major work at the plate with the 10 home runs. Ryan Braun with 5. Scooter Gennett able to take some batting practice today, and what I saw looked pretty good doing it. Domingo Santana rounding out the Powerball home run leaderboard. It's Chris Carter. He has 10 bombs. Number 10 of the season coming last night.
I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if Scooter comes off in the minimum amount of time, 15 days.
Yeah, he looked just fine in batting practice, and we'll see how he gets through all that. Now the next day is, but he was launching a few this afternoon.
Yeah, Brewers elected to be very careful with those obliques. You never know; those things can last all year. So nip it in the bud. And hopefully he comes back strong. He was swinging the bat well when he came out of the lineup.
Yeah, aggravated it actually in BP in Chicago, but you're right. He's showing some good power and good patience. He was already someone who had taken 10 walks this season, nearly matching the total of all of last year. A ball, 2 strikes to Carter. Curveball misses.
You could say that about just about every one of the Brewers in the lineup. I mean, it's a patient group, sometimes to a fault, as we've talked about. Maybe taking too many 3rd strikes.
Carter checks his swing and just does get a piece of that breaking ball. Yeah, you're right. The approach is much different up and down this lineup. It's been known as a free swinging group, but a lot of called 3rd strikes. We'll see if Carter can go to work here. 2-2 the count. And this is lifted on the right side and in foul territory, and Votto over the shoulder makes the catch.
Yeah, that's a beautiful play right there by Joey Votto. That is not easy. Yeah, back to the infield, fighting the stands over there and the tarp, and able to haul it in. Catches it in the webbing. That's a great play. Never was able to really settle under it. Got a lot of things going on there, and able to haul it in. Got the wall, the tarp, the fans, and still able to catch the baseball.
Good play by Joey Votto. He was a Gold Glove winner 5 years ago. Here's Kurt Neuenhuis for 2 outs. Looks at the curve for strike 1. Adelman, his only other start. It was his big league debut. He went 6 innings against the Pirates. Gave up a couple of runs, 3 hits. Nice, lines 1 foul. The ball, 2 strikes now to the center fielder. Start number 13 for Neuenhuis out in center tonight. This has popped up and out of play.
They have the guys that Craig Counsell has used in center field. He's the guy swinging the bat the best, and that's the guy that's going to play. When Flores continues to struggle at the plate.
Yeah, the average for Neuenhuis right now at 269. A walk and a strikeout this evening. Had a double in 4 trips last night. 1-2 pitch. You see Adelman approaching 100 pitches now. We are in the 5th. Couple of threats going by the boards there. Innings 2, 3, and 4. And Alex Presley gets the crew on the scoreboard with a leadoff homer here in the top half of the 5th.
Yeah, the only guy that's really been able to handle that high fastball is Presley. He hit that high fastball out of the ballpark, and Adelman's gotten a lot of mileage out of that heater at the belt and just a little bit above, and it's kind of a surprise in that he doesn't throw very hard. Hate to keep harping on that, but that's something that has been a surprise so far tonight. That pitch right there, they just can't seem to square up on it. It's all about the delivery for Adelman, and that deceiving delivery. You can't pick up the baseball that well. That and the fact that in the back of your mind, you're always thinking about that good changeup.
That's a big part of the book on Adelman. It's in the rotation because Raisel Iglesias has had a sore shoulder, so Adelman getting his 2nd chance as Neuenhuis bounces to Joey Votto. And that'll do it for the Brewers in the 5th. But the crew gets on the scoreboard, and once again it's Alex Presley with his 2nd home run in as many games in this series, his 3rd as a Brewer. It's 5-1 Cincinnati halfway through at Great American Ballpark. We move to the bottom of the 5th inning as Craig Counsell will be turning to his bullpen, and we'll get you caught up on that in a couple of moments. Tyler Cravey getting his first start of this season with the Brewers tonight, and Rock just got himself into enough trouble. He was doing some good things, as you see right here, getting Adam Duvall with a called third strike, but Red's able to score on him in each of the first 3 innings, and now he turns it over to Carlos Torres.
Yeah, just left too many pitches up in the strike zone, but the one home run he did allow to Brandon Phillips was a pretty good pitch, not a strike, but hey, 5 runs in 4 innings. Disappointing start as Carlos Torres takes over. A double switch for Craig Counsell.
And there's Ramon Flores, part of that double switch. Replaces Neuenhuis out in center. Billy Hamilton leading off for the Reds. He'll send Ryan Braun back near the track for out number 1. Our CardSoup.com trivia question: who are the 4 players in Queen City history to steal at least 50 or more bases in a single season for the Reds? And there you go. Yeah, Billy Hamilton, part of that group. Probably recognize 3 out of 4 of those names.
Right. Bob Bescher.
Yeah. Eric Davis, part of their championship year in '90, and Joe Morgan, of course. Big Red Machine era of the '70s. Joey Votto, he has homered, he has walked. Home run of the first, his 4th of the year. There you see, that might be why you don't recognize Bob Bescher. Go back to the 09-12 run.
You don't remember that one?
No, I can't say that I do. It's other 3 guys kind of familiar with.
Right.
Not Bob. Joe Morgan, Hall of Famer. The ball, 2 strikes to Votto.
Yep, the oldest major league franchise, the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, they used to, opening day, they used to be the first team up. But times have changed, and that is not necessarily the case anymore. But opening day meant the Reds were the first team to play. Ball, 2 strikes, and holding to Votto. Tyler Cravey goes 4 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, all earned. A couple of walks and 4 strikeouts. Gives up 2 homers. And now Carlos Torres, as Rock mentioned, has been pitching pretty well here for the Brewers of late. Trying to keep the Reds at 5. And Votto is down on strikes. 2 up, 2 down.
Up the ladder on him that time and gets him on strikes. And 94 for the fastball for Carlos Torres. And blew it right by him. You know, Votto, you notice, chokes up on that bat. He's always chokes up, but even more with 2 strikes. And it certainly doesn't affect his power because he hit a 2-strike home run on a curveball in the first inning.
Yeah, to dead center. And here's Brandon Phillips. Good one into the seats and left. 3-run shot off of Cravey in the 3rd. And a strike to Brandon Phillips. He has 14 RBIs on the year to go along with his 4 homers. Had a couple of hits last night, drove in 3. Count is even. The ball is strike to the second baseman. Torres unscored upon in his last 3. The Phillies, the last team to score on him, and that was Actually, the last 4, I should say. April 23rd. The last time Torres gave up a run.
Pitching with a lot of confidence. He's working quickly and basically using the fastball and the slider to get through innings.
Torres looking for a 3-up, 3-down inning. Gravy put him out in order in the 4th. 2-2 pitch. That is strike 3 called. So a couple of punch outs in the inning for Carlos Torres. As we move on to the 6th inning, a little Darth in the house. 5-1 Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, where the Reds lead the Brewers 5-1. Time now for T-Mobile's greater coverage of baseball. Check out some of the action from earlier today. Ben Zobrist with a big day, helping the Cubs outscore the Nationals. Red Sox and Yankees tied up. Likewise, Dodgers and Blue Jays, and the Rangers. The early jump on the Detroit Tigers. And a few of the more intriguing matchups across baseball tonight. Well, the Reds going to their bullpen. That could be a good thing for the Crew. Let's see what happens tonight. Caleb Cotham on the mound now.
Yeah, 23 consecutive games. The Cincinnati bullpen has given up at least 1 run. Yeah, Cotham, the former Yankee. Man, not bad numbers, a .430 earned run average. Cotham appears in his 15th game here tonight.
And he will face Aaron Hill. And he starts him off with a breaking ball for strike 1. Hill with a 6-game hitting streak coming into the game, looking for his first knock here tonight. And he lines one to center field, but lining it up is Billy Hamilton, 1 away.
Yeah, hung that curveball up there. Basically 4 pitches. That was a slider that Aaron Hill hit pretty well. Also has a 2-seam fastball. And that one had hit me all over it, and Aaron Hill gets good contact, but right at Billy Hamilton.
They mentioned the former Yankee. He was part of the deal for Aroldis Chapman. The Reds dealt their closer away back in late December.
That's pretty much an impossible guy to replace.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you trade him away and don't add another closer, and certainly not to the level of Aroldis Chapman, but somebody, and you expect your bullpen to be able to make up that slack. It's impossible to do, and that's one of the reasons I think that the Reds bullpen has been in such turmoil.
Yeah, changed the whole dynamic.
They don't have that consistent closer, the guy that you can count on in the 9th inning. I mean it's pretty much helter-skelter out there.
There's a ground ball to Votto off the bat of Colin Walsh. 2 up, 2 down in the 6th. Yeah, it is. unusual at this stage of the season, you know, a month in and change. This Reds team, which has won 12 games, but Brian Price's group out of the bullpen, 1 save.
One. Yep. Amazing.
So a little closer by committee going on. Brewers got to the Reds bullpen last night to extend that streak of games, as Rock mentioned, 23 straight, which is an all-time record. 23 straight team games where the bullpen has given up at least a run. Martin Maldonado. Blaze. Let's get Maldonado. I'm going to get this right here. Maldonado at the plate, presented by Blaze Pizza. He intentionally walked, and he's been hit by a pitch. Right on the elbow pad from Adelman. His last plate appearance in the 4th. Brewers are 4-1 when he starts behind the plate. So if Milwaukee can get a rally going here tonight. He's 28 years old, Caleb Cotham out of Vanderbilt University. As Maldonado sends one to Phillips. And the Brewers are retired 1-2-3 here in inning number 6. Bottom of the 6th we go. 5-1 Reds.
Sixth inning, time to check in with the crew and the community. Join Brewers pitcher Matt Garza and teammates for the Brewers Bowl-a-thon on Sunday, August 14th. Enjoy a silent auction and bowling with Brewers players while raising money for the Meta House, which offers substance abuse treatment services to help women reclaim their lives from the effects of drugs or alcohol. Sign up today at brewers.com/bowling.
Telly, thank you very much. Reds coming up in the bottom of inning number 6. They have been playing with the lead throughout the first 2 games of this series. 5 runs in the first last night, runs in the first and second inning tonight, and 3 more in the third. As Jay Bruce leads off second inning of work now for Carlos Torres. And we'll see Bruce's numbers this year. It was someone with a low average, very low average the last couple of seasons, but he did homer 26 times last year, drove in 87. And he's behind 2 strikes and nothing to Torres here.
Either real hot, real cold. That's been the history of Jay Bruce.
All-star seasons in 2011 and 2012, 30-plus homer years in that stretch for Bruce. And a year later, he drove in 109 runs. That's the one year he's hit triple digits in that category, right on the edge in 11 and 12. There's the 0-2. Name comes up fairly often. Talk about Bruce as a player who could be moved.
Last few years.
Yeah.
Trading deadline, off season, and hey, he's still a Red. When he first came up, he and Votto, I mean, were deadly going to left field. Not so much for Bruce anymore. More of a pull hitter. Joey Votto still goes to left field very well. One of the reasons why Votto's average is up. And Jay Bruce, not so much.
Still possesses that good arm out in right. Again, the 1-2. And again, a foul ball. Tyler Cravey went the first 4 tonight. Gave up the 5 runs and 6 hits. Torres, the second inning, as I said, the first frame, he got through the Reds 1, 2, 3. Hamilton, Votto, and Phillips, couple of strikeouts along the way. And he gets another one here as down goes Jay Bruce.
Yeah, good breaking ball there. 3 consecutive strikeouts for Carlos Torres, who continues to do well out there in that Brewers bullpen. Look at Maldonado setting up that breaking pitch. Good target and down in the dirt. That's exactly where you want it with 2 strikes. Out of the zone, and he chases it.
Well, out number 1. There's Eugenio Suarez. He struck out and walked tonight. Became a regular in that Reds lineup last year when COZART went down with the injury. Started last year at AAA Louisville. Getting a lot of time over at third.
Pretty convenient for the Reds, right? AAA about an hour and a half away.
Yeah, very.
Louisville's going to be busy tomorrow.
Just a little. Derby day. One of the big parties in the country.
Yeah.
Two balls, 1 strike.
You ever been to Churchill Downs?
It's one of those bucket lists.
Not for the Derby. I've been to Churchill Downs a couple of times, but not for the Derby. We had an off day here in Cincinnati one time. We had a bus and went down and had some racing going on. It was fun.
A good day.
Yeah.
Well, it's just one of those things you feel like you need to do at least once, right?
Beautiful.
Suarez with a bouncing ball over to Colin Walsh. 2 up, 2 down in the 6th.
Well, that brings us to tonight's Tavern of the Game winner, Donnie's Roadside Bar and Grill in Phillips. If they call the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, they get 40 tickets to a Friday night game. And the Miller Lite Beer Pen is offered courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Brewer fans always travel well.
Got to give them something to cheer about here.
Yes. Finish off this inning, get a rally started. Adam Duvall. Swinging a good bat here of late. Run scoring double in the 2nd inning. Took a called 3rd strike in the 3rd. With 5 runs on 6 hits, the Brewers a run on 4, and they have stranded 7 have the Brewers. Carlos Torres trying to finish off a good 2nd inning of work. Released by the Braves at the end of March. Signed a couple of days later with the Brewers. And he gets a ground ball off the bat of Duvall that PR will take care of, and it's another 1-2-3 inning for Carlos Torres. We're through 6. It's 5-1 Cincinnati. Major League Baseball and FS1 is back. Two big games featuring some of baseball's best players. It all starts as the Rangers take on the Tigers in a game you can only see on FS1. And the Nationals head to Wrigley to take on the Cubs. The action starts at 11:30 a.m. Central on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Cooper and Rizzo and company having at it. Take a look at what the Cubs are doing. It's a little early to say that any team is going to run away and hide, but they're off to a great start.
Yeah. And they've got a lot going for them. They don't have too many weaknesses. Good starting rotation, bullpen. And we will see the Cubs this month at Miller Park.
That next homestand, as a matter of fact, is Ramon Flores. Came in the 5th inning, defensive replacement, part of a double switch. And there for Kirk Neuenhuis. And Flores is going to drop a single into left field. And that's how inning number 7 begins for Milwaukee.
Well, he needed that. Ramon's been scuffling at the plate. And able to dump that one down the left field line. A good start to the game or this inning for the Brewers. And not trying to pull it, just go right with it. Slices it down the left field line. Got to get him going. You got to get Colin Waugh starting to get some hits and get some production out of the bottom of the order. Remember in the last homestand how good they were.
Yeah, they had a nice stretch of games where they were doing a great job of extending innings. That series against the Marlins. There's Jonathan VR. He has reached in 23 of 26 games that he's been involved in, has yet to get on base tonight. A couple of strikeouts and a ground ball to first. And he bloops this one into foul territory, and it's grabbed by Suarez for out number 1. A tough night thus far for Jonathan VR.
Yeah, just couldn't get the bat head out, and an easy pop out and foul ground for Suarez. It's one of those nights at the plate so far. He's still going to get another shot, you hope.
Caleb Cotham on for his 2nd inning of work. Facing Alex Presley, who represents the 1 Milwaukee run tonight. The right fielder continuing to show some pop in that bat. Home run to right. 2nd straight game he has done that.
Batting average up to .333. And made a nice throw into home plate tonight.
It allowed Maldonado to apply the tag on Adam Duvall. He's trying to score on a base hit off the bat of Tucker Barnhart. Presley 5 out of his last 10 at the plate. He's behind now, a ball, 2 strikes to Cotham. Originally drafted by the Yankees in '09, debuted in the big leagues last year. And Presley trying to check his swing, but unable to do so. Says the third base umpire Adrian Johnson. And Presley is out number 2.
Cotham pretty good breaking pitch. I mean, we saw a pretty good slider. He did hang one to Aaron Hill to start the 6th. But check this out, going down, good sharp break to it, and Presley not able to hold up on it.
Here's Ryan Braun. Average among the top 5 in the National League coming into the game. Ramon Flores led off this inning with a single to left. BRAUN with a bouncing ball to Suarez. And that'll do it for Milwaukee in the 7th. So a leadoff single and then nothing after that. Bottom of the 7th we go. 5-1 Cincinnati. Some early damage. Joey Votto with this 2-out homer to dead center field. Being the Reds on the board. Adam Duvall with an RBI double in the 2nd. Quickly Tyler Cravey was in a 2-run hole. Then in the 3rd, Brandon Phillips homering for the 3rd straight game. This is a 3-run shot that made it 5-0. The Reds, or the Brewers, excuse me, putting a run on the board. And it was Alex Presley taking Tim Adelman over the wall in right. That gets us to where we are now, bottom of the 7th here at Great America Ballpark, with the Reds leading it 5-1. Brewers have stranded 8 runners, or excuse me, 7 runners here in this game. Missing some early chances in the 2nd inning, 3rd inning, but able to cash in off Adelman.
Yep, 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. And make that 0 for 6. Not too many opportunities as of late, though. As Blaine Boyer takes over for the 12th time this year. Good numbers for Blaine. Got touched up a little bit in the last game of the homestand on a 277 earned run average.
Two good innings of work out of the bullpen from Carlos Torres. After Tyler Cravey went the first 4. The ball is strike now to Tucker Barnhart.
Boy, that 3-run home run to Brandon Phillips. I mean, that was a crushing blow. It's the difference in the ball game pretty much here tonight. And that wasn't even a good pitch. I mean, you really can't fault Cravey for that. I mean, that's a head scratcher how a guy hits that ball out of the ballpark. You can understand him barreling it up, but 9 times out of 10 that ball is going to be hooked foul. They're able to keep it fair, and that was a big blow of the game so far.
The ball, 2 strikes to Barnhart. And that kind of series here so far for the Brewers, falling behind big last night, getting behind here early tonight. And Barnhart goes down swinging. There's out number 1. Well, so far so good for this Milwaukee bullpen here tonight.
Yeah, fastball looked like a cutter that Barnhart swung right through. I mean, pretty good pitch to hit that he missed.
And Derek Johnson, the pitching coach. Mentioned Caleb Cotham, who came in for the Reds, Vanderbilt guy. So A little background there between Derek Johnson and Hoffman.
They got a pinch hitter. Going over the scouting report on what's that, Schebler?
Scott Schebler. Yep, you are correct.
Pitching coach will normally go out when a pinch hitter comes up just to go over the scouting report. Don't want to take anything for granted.
And Schebler pinch hitting and first pitch swinging, fouls it off his foot. Schebler, another one of the new faces to this Cincinnati ball club this season. So take another look at the foul ball. He was part of that 3-team trade. Involved the Dodgers and the White Sox, and in a nutshell, from the Cincinnati perspective, it sent Todd Frazier to Chicago. Schebler, a 25-year-old out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, lofting a fly ball that is handled by Alex Presley. 2 up, 2 down. So Blaine Boyer picking up where Carlos Torres left off. Torres faced 6 Reds and retired 6 Reds. It's 2 up, 2 down here for Boyer.
And Cravey had a 3 up, 3 down inning in the 4th.
Well, the last Red to reach was Eugenio Suarez, a 2-out walk in the 3rd. The last hit was the Phillips home run. COZART looks at a curve for strike 1. A double sandwiched in between a line drive and a fly ball for COZART tonight. And a blow by fastball there has him out in front 0-2. Veteran Blaine Boyer looking for a 1-2-3 inning, and this is lifted to right field. Room for Presley, and it is in fact another 1-2-3 inning. We are through 7. It remains 5-1 Cincinnati. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. Top of the 8th, Brewers trying to get it cranked up here. Only an Alex Presley homer. That's been it as far as scoring for Milwaukee. 5-1 Cincinnati. As the Reds go back to their bullpen and they send Blake Wood into the game.
Yeah, we saw him in last night's ball game. Gave up a hit, only threw in 1/3 of an inning. 15th appearance and a .338 earned run average. You can see 9 walks, 8 strikeouts in those 13 in the 3rd inning. So control problems have been an issue for Wood this year.
His first time back in the big leagues, was not in the majors last year. Most of last year was in the Pirates system. AAA Indianapolis. Had been with the Indians in 2013 and 14. He'll face Chris Carter. Carter an infield single in the 2nd, and a couple of pop-ups since. In fact, the last was a good play in foul territory, an over-the-shoulder grab near the tarp made by Votto. 96 on the fastball, evens the count.
Yeah, he's got a good arm. We haven't seen anybody today throwing that hard. Carlos Torres got a couple of fastballs in 94, but that's been it.
1-1 pitch. It's a little something off there. 2-1. That's Tony Cingrani up in the Reds bullpen. Brewers trying to extend that streak where the Reds bullpen has given up at least a run in 23 straight games. Carter extended it last night. A home run off J.J. Hoover to begin the 9th inning. Brewers put a couple on the board. Two and two the count to the Milwaukee first baseman. The count runs full. There's Domingo Santana. Ready to pinch hit for the 2nd straight night. Carter with a base hit to center. There's his 2nd hit of the ball game, both singles.
Yep, and Wood left that slider, kind of spun it and didn't do much on the inner half. Carter jammed himself, but he's so strong, doesn't really matter. You see the slider didn't do much, and then Carter able to get enough extension. He's so strong to muscle it out there into center field.
A 2-for-4 night for Chris Carter. Here's Domingo Santana pinch hitting again, as Craig Counsell before the game telling reporters that that sore shoulder, the tight shoulder, getting a little bit better for Santana. They just want to be smart about it. And Alex Presley, let's face it, he's been playing pretty well out there in right field. But
so give him some time off. I mean, you know, while Presley's swinging a bat, have him come off the bench.
In on the hands at 95.
But the Brewers do miss their leadoff hitter when Santana is not in the lineup. They put VR up there, and I think Craig Counsell would prefer to have VR in number 2 or down in number 8 region, down in there in the lineup. That gives you a little bit more balance at the bottom of the order when you have VR down there.
Santana can give you some pop at that top of the order, and it's a pretty good job drawing walks. On base percentage at .327 for him. Strikeout total is up there, but he's been productive when you get the healthy version of Domingo Santana. At least Counsell can use him as a pinch hitter. Here's the 0-2, and he waves at it and does not get it. He's out number 1.
Hey, keep up with the crew wherever you are with MLB.com at bat, the official app of the Brewers, featuring live broadcasts, scoring updates, breaking news, and more. Download At Bat today, free for your smartphone or tablet.
Frustrating time for Santana, not healthy, and strikes out as a pinch hitter here.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're not 100%, you start that bat sooner than you'd like because you don't feel like you can wait, and that's what happened on that strikeout. He committed too early. Wood gave him a slider off the plate.
Aaron Hill still trying to extend what is a 6-game hitting streak. Fastball missing, 2-0. Blake Wood was a draft pick of the Royals 10 years ago in the 3rd round. Had Tommy John surgery 4 years ago. Missed that entire 2012 season. A couple of years up with the Royals, 2 more with Cleveland. Minor leagues last year, and getting a lot of appearances in the first month of the season for the Reds. Tim Adelman went the first 5. Gave up 4 hits and the only run Milwaukee has. And Hill with a ground ball, and that's through. So the hitting streak extends, and more importantly, the Brewers are moving the line. Runners at first and second with 1 out.
Yeah, I mean, get that tying run to the plate, see what happens, right? And Jonathan Lucroy is walking out of onto the on-deck circle as we speak, with Colin Walsh coming to the plate. I mean, that's just a good at bat by Aaron Hill. Taking that fastball and shooting it into right field. Tying run now on deck.
A little something going. 7 hits for the Brewers as Brian Price making the slow walk, and we are going to have a pitching change here in Cincinnati. So a 4-run game, but the Brewers have something going. 2 on, 1 out. It's 5-1 Cincinnati. Out, a 5-1 deficit right now for the Crew, but getting into that bullpen. Next up for the Reds is Tony Cingrani.
Yeah, averaging a strikeout per innings pitched, but look at the walks, 9 walks. So this Reds bullpen not only giving up a lot of hits this year, walking a lot of batters. 16 appearances now for Cingrani. That leads the Cincinnati bullpen. And last pitched against San Francisco on Wednesday, scoreless, inning and 2/3.
Trying to get a run against that pen. That's what the Brewers actually like to get 4 or 5 of them. That's that streak that we're talking about. A big storyline here in Cincinnati. Blake Wood started this inning. A couple of hits has him out of there, and he turns it over to the left-hander.
Yeah, the only left-hander down in that Cincinnati bullpen right now.
The Brewers with just 1, by the way, but that should change by tomorrow when Michael Kirkman gets here. Expect him here this weekend to add another lefty to the bullpen.
Yeah, Brewers going to have to make a roster move tomorrow before the game.
Alan Walsh has singled in 3 trips tonight. The hits have been few and far between for him early in this season, but he didn't come through again now. Carter at second, Aaron Hill at first. And there's a bouncing ball in the hole. That is COZART, and the play is at third for the out.
Yep, the only play he had. Too bad. And COZART really thinking on his feet there. Really no play at second or first. The only chance he had was third base, and Suarez knew it right away. He got back to the bag and able to get Carter easily at third base. You saw Suarez go after it, retreat back to third base, and get the out.
So now Jonathan Lucroy will pinch hit. Maldonado. We'll see what Jonathan did last night. That one homer came on Tuesday against the Angels.
Pretty good chance you get a fastball with Cingrani out there. He throws a lot of them. It's a deceptive fastball in the low 90s. Kind of slings it from 3/4.
Lucroy will look at a strike on a fastball. Cingrani was a starter a couple of years as a Red in 2013 and 14. Moved to the bullpen last year, had just one start. The rest of his 35 appearances came out of the pen. Here's the 0-1. Fastball up and in.
Even as a starter, he threw a lot of fastballs. Not a lot of wrinkle in his pitches. Has a lot of confidence in that heater.
Good looking numbers there for Lucroy with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Aaron Hill is that runner in scoring position right now. Lucroy a little tardy there and behind a ball, 2 strikes. Brewers trying to mount a rally in this game. They have stranded 8 runners through the first 7 innings. 2 are on right now. Cingrani ready to bring the 1-2.
There's a breaking ball. You just see he slows down his delivery quite a bit on the off-speed stuff. That was 77 miles an hour, and you can see it coming.
For tonight for the Crew with runners in scoring position. Big chance here for Lucroy. Shoots one foul on a fastball.
And one of those 2 hits for Cincinnati runners in scoring position, that Brandon Phillips 3-run homer. That was with 2 outs.
Phillips has homered in both games of this series, as well as Wednesday against the Giants. Proving he still has it, at least early in this series. 2-2 the count to Jonathan Lucroy. Pinch hitting for Maldonado here in the 8th. And another foul ball. Cingrani feeding him a couple of fastballs again. Lucroy off to a good start at the plate this season. 308. He's had some good hitting streaks going. A home run. He has driven in 10. 2-2 pitch again. Fastball is inside. Now the runners will be on the move.
Interesting to see what happens if Lucroy is able to reach. You got Flores coming up, the lefty. You got Perez, Rivera left on the bench.
And Perez has been swinging a pretty good bat here of late for the Brewers. Runners on the move. 3-2 pitch, and this will carry out a play. Good at bat going here for Jonathan Lucroy. Let's see how he can finish it. Ninth pitch of the at-bat coming up. It's Craig Counsell going to his bench. Tony Cingrani, the 26-year-old lefty for Cincinnati. His best year was 3 years ago, mostly as a starter, a sub-3 earned run average. Was off to a good start out of the bullpen last year and then faltered as the year went along. His ERA was over 5.5. 3-2 pitch. And this is lifted to right field, and this will carry out of play.
Every pitch of Lucroy in this sequence has been a fastball except for one. And a lot of hittable fastballs at that. And that's the mystery of Tony Cingrani. Just can't catch up to it. It's kind of been the case for the Brewers all night. You know, it started with ADLEMAN, and now Cingrani getting away with some pretty straight fastballs.
8 fastballs and a curve so far. Pitch number 10 coming up. Here it is. Another fastball, and it missed, and the bases are loaded. And the tying run will be coming to the plate.
Well, Flores is going back to the dugout. Let's see what happens with Brian Price. Does he bring in a right-hander? We can't even tell if there's anybody getting loose in that Reds bullpen. But it will be Perez, and all quiet down there in that Reds pen.
So Hernan Perez will hit, and he's been hitting of late. On Wednesday afternoon against the Angels, he went opposite field for this home run. He hit the ball hard all day long on Wednesday afternoon. There's a couple of homers since being called up at the end of April. And with the pinch hitter, once again, a little scouting report time for Cincinnati.
And off to a good start, and not a bad option off that bench when you consider this late in the ball game. There's only Yadiel Rivera left on the Brewers bench as far as position players go, representing the tying run.
Hernan Perez, lofty batting average. Now it's 13 at bats. He's 5 for 13. Couple of homers, has driven in 3. And let's see what he brings to the party here with the bases loaded and 2 men out in the 8th. And Milwaukee finally cash in, this time against Tony Cingrani. And a breaking ball misses.
You really don't have to worry too much about that because he doesn't throw him for strikes. Now you're in the driver's seat if you're Perez. There's bases loaded. He's got to throw a strike. Almost guaranteed a fastball here. If it's not, just don't even think about swinging.
The 1-0. And this is hit in the air to left field. DUVALL is there, and the Brewers leave the bases loaded in the 8th. Big chance is missed, and the score remains 5-1 Cincinnati. hit in the foul pole. A long extra inning game. One of the all-time classic World Series. Let's get some changes here for the Brewers. Michael Blazek in the game now. Some other changes we'll get you caught up on as Billy Hamilton leads off. It's Blazek on the mound. Lucroy behind the plate. Pinch hit for Maldonado in the last inning. A frustrating night for this Brewers offense, though. They have stranded 11 runners.
Yeah, just have not been able to cash in with those runners in scoring position. Colin Walsh out in left field. Yeah, Presley in center, Braun in right.
An attention grabber there. There's Presley. Moving over. And Brawny back in right, where he played for a couple of years before going back to the more comfortable position. There's a bouncing ball to short. VR got to hurry. Hamilton can run, and VR takes care of it, 1 out.
That's something, isn't it?
Wow.
Boy, oh boy, is he fast.
There's nothing routine.
I mean, you panic when you're at shortstop. I mean, a couple of hops like that, you know it's going to be close. You have to get rid of it quickly. You have to surround the baseball to get something on it. Look at this. I mean, talk about getting rid of it and just getting him by half a step.
One out for Votto. He opened up the scoring in this game with a 2-out solo homer in the first. He has since walked and struck out. Blazek misses with a curveball. Well, the Brewers bullpen's been good. There's Hernan Perez as we complete the housekeeping now. Perez over at third. Brewers bullpen, though, has worked 3 scoreless innings, 2 from Carlos Torres and 1 from Blaine Boyer. In fact, it was 9 up, 9 down. The last Reds hit was the Brandon Phillips 3-run homer in the third. A breaking ball for a strike, 2-1 the count.
Man, surprisingly enough, Votto chased a high fastball his last time up for a strikeout. Hardly ever see him swing out of the strike zone.
Oh, you're right. He's punched out 29 times this season, but he has just walked for the second time tonight after walking 3 times last night. Let's check out Miller Lite's What's on Tap as Jimmy Nelson. He has been the steady one in that Brewers rotation, going for win number 5, and Brandon Finnegan will get the call for the Reds, another left-hander that the Brewers will be facing. Our coverage tomorrow night begins at 5:30 right here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Say another left-hander. Actually, the Brewers will face back-to-back left-handers tomorrow and Sunday. John Lamb is the scheduled starter for the Reds on Sunday afternoon. There's Brandon Phillips.
Well, tomorrow will be the 10th different left-handed starter the Brewers have faced.
Seven hits for Milwaukee, just 6 for Cincinnati. It came early. That's in the last hit coming off the bat of Phillips in the third. The last base runner up until the Votto walk was a walk to Suarez in the third. And Phillips will send one to right center field. That's Ryan Braun, and Presley will take care of it. No collision, and the out is made.
Yeah,
there's 2 down.
Tough to duck under that baseball, trusting your center fielder to make the catch. Check it out. Get out of the way, Ryan. I got it. Tells the MVP to get out of the way and makes the catch.
That's when you know you're feeling good. Well, I got this.
That's center fielder's job.
Yep.
Brawny said, good job. You better catch it.
And he did. Presley with a home run tonight. It's been the lone run here for the Crew. 2 outs, a runner on for Jay Bruce. Infield single in the second inning, and he will send one to right again. Another chance for BRAUN, and he'll put this one away, and that's it for the Reds. Last chance for the Brewers. Let's see what they can do. Down by 4. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Spend the nights with luxury. Time for a rally on Star Wars night at Great America Ballpark. Brewers will have theirs in June.
Princess Leia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you stumped? You knew.
No, I knew that.
You knew that, right?
I knew that. Of course.
It had to be said, though.
Well, I just wanted to put it on a tee for you, and so you could tell the world your Star Wars knowledge.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just try your best to make me look a little bit smart. Master of the obvious.
Jonathan VR starts his 9th inning, a bloop into right field, and that'll drop in front of Jay Bruce. And that's how the 9th inning begins for Milwaukee. Hit number 8 for the Crew.
Yeah, 0 for 4 before this at bat. Another fastball from Cingrani, and Jay Bruce not able to get there. I mean, very good defensively and right, just not able to get there. Plays it safe, and yet another leadoff base runner for Milwaukee. They've had a ton of them this tonight.
Well, they have. They have stranded 11 runners in this game. Alex Presley at the plate. He is responsible for the lone run. Home run coming in the 5th inning. We've talked a lot about pitching for both of these teams, and the bullpens have been awfully good. This Brewers bullpen has been terrific here tonight. The Reds have that streak of 24 or 23 straight games where they've given up a run. They slipped at 24. It's because they're going to dent them here in this inning. You hope if you're a Brewer fan. You see those bullpen ERAs, and now they have VR picked off.
Man,
my goodness, the rundown is on, and the rundown is over as Cingrani applies the tag.
Oh, you just can't do that. My goodness, down by 4 runs. Ouch. You're not going anywhere. No way you're stealing. And he gets picked off. Wow. To say that's a base running mistake is a major understatement.
One, 3, 6, 1.
Umpire hurt?
Yeah, looks like it. Reds athletic trainer out there. It's Eric Cooper, the first base umpire. And,
it looks like, Hovland trying to get out of the way of VR, and not sure what happened, but he's coming off.
Yeah, he is. No contact involved there. Thought he might have been stepped on, but that was not the case. Taking a look at that replay, but no. 3-man crew right now. 2 balls, no strikes. The count to Alex Presley. Addition to the homer, he walked back in the 3rd inning. Presley fouls it out of play, and the count is even. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're back here tomorrow night. The series wraps up on Sunday afternoon before the Brewers head to South Florida. Two pitch coming. Lifted to left field. That's Duvall. And the Brewers are down to their final out. A leadoff single, and then VR gets picked off. Presley a fly ball to left, and now it's up to Ryan Braun to try to extend the game. He's 1 for 4, a single to left field that gives him hits in 6 straight games. $23,000 plus here at Great America Ballpark tonight on Star Wars nights. Good cut from Brawny on a mid-90s fastball. Reds closing in on their 13th win. Sangrani trying to finish this one off here tonight. And 0-2 to Braun. Road wins especially tough to come by for the Crew here this season. Just 3 away from home. 0-2 pitch, fastball high. Tough outing, some tough luck also for Blaine Boyer. Brandon Phillips with a big blow, a 3-run homer in the 3rd. And Braun with a fly ball to right. Jay Bruce has room, and the Reds take the first 2 games of this series. Oh, a frustrating night for Milwaukee as the Brewers strand 11. Multiple chances to get runs on the board, unable to do so with the exception of the Alex Presley 5th inning homer. They'll try again tomorrow night. The Reds a winner tonight, 5-1. Let's send it to our Fox Sports Wisconsin studio as Jeff Grayson standing by.